In this next example, we're going to take a look at the frame layout. So the idea behind a frame layout is that it allows you to display only a single section of whatever is in frame layout. So you can have multiple objects in there and they'll all sort of overlap. Only the topmost object will be seen. So it's a useful layout when you want to show different user interfaces within the same space. So think of it as similar to tabs. In a tabbed interface, you have a fixed amount of space in your user interface, and as you tab through, that space changes to reflect the selected tab. So we could do something similar using frame layout, and that's exactly what we're going to attempt. So we have a relative layout open here. This is the activity frame layout example. I'm going to remove the hello world text. And what I'm going to do is add two buttons to the mix. The first one is going to be called screen 1, and the second one is going to be called screen 2. So add them here. All right, good enough. And we're going to call this guy FR button 1 with the text of screen 1. And we'll add a second button here, which will have the text of screen number 2 and FR button 2. This is why I hate working with that relative layout. Always difficult to position things. And let's see if we can maybe move these up a little bit. I'm gonna stop messing with them now. Okay, so now below that, let's add a frame layout. Okay, and let's make sure that that frame layout fills the screen. Well, actually, instead of, let's make it 300 dp. Okay, I'm going to leave that alone. Maybe if I take these out, I can position things a little bit better. Let's see if that's the case. Okay, good enough. So the frame layout is now going to contain two linear layouts. And let's fix that a little bit here. In code, we don't want one to be inside the other. We want them to be like that. And let's give each one of these guys a name. At plus ID, FR layout 1. And at plus ID, FR layout 2. Okay, so that's good. And what we're going to do now, let's make sure that they fill the screen. Match parent, match parent. Let's give them a different background color. Okay, so one is going to be red. And the other one, let's make 0000FF. The other one is blue. And we can also put something in there in terms of text box, text view. So it's difficult to work with visually, but here's my text view. I'm going to take out its ID, and I'm going to say this is screen number 2. I'm going to take this text view, put it into my other linear layout, and call it screen number 1. So, and it's difficult to do because, again, in that frame layout, as you can see, they're overlapping. I have both screen 1 and screen 2 being seen in the same space. And that's all within this linear layout, within this frame layout. Okay, so in terms of interface, we have it set up. Now, what we want is, by default, we're going to show screen 1. And when a user clicks the button for screen 1, that's what we're going to show in our frame layout. When the user clicks on screen 2, we're going to hide screen 1 and show them screen 2. When they click on screen 1 again, we're going to hide screen 2 and show them screen 1. So let's write the code that makes that happen. Let's import linear layout, import button, and import view. And let's take a quick look at the code we just generated. So the first thing we're doing is getting a reference to our two linear layouts. We have FR layout 1 and FR layout 2. Those are the two guys that we set up right here. One is red, one is blue. Then what we're doing by default is making the second one disappear. So view.gone makes it be invisible on the screen even though the element is still there. Using gone as opposed to hidden, or invisible rather, is better. Gone prevents it from taking up any space, whereas if you set it to be invisible, it still takes up the same amount of room. It's just not seen visually on the screen. So by default, we make it invisible. And here is our code for the first and second button that control the visibility of our two layouts. You can see when we click the first button, we're going to make the second layout be invisible and show the first one on the screen. And if the second button is clicked, we're going to do the opposite and make the second layout visible and hide the first layout. So the code is very simple. Let's save this and run our application and see what happens. Okay, and here's our layout. You can see we're looking at screen 1. If I hit screen 2, we're now looking at screen 2. This is our framed interface, and it's hosting both of those linear layouts. So you can see this is kind of the poor man's tabs right here, where we can switch back and forth as necessary. And what's nice about this is that all of the user interface elements that you have set up inside the linear layout 1 and linear layout 2 views are actually available to you in code. So you can dynamically alter things, calculate things, and use all of the controls that you have available here in order to work with the user interface. You can build wizards, you can build tab-like interfaces. So all of that is very possible using a frame layout. Again, the main point of the frame layout is to show you a single thing, whereas it can actually host multiple different variations, but it can only show one of them at a time. So it makes sense that something like this would work quite well in a frame layout.